Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be talking about new Scarlet Witch because all credit to MCOC journal, and I will link to the original video in the description. He has data mined full complete abilities such as they are now of Scarlet Witch. Obviously they can still be subject to change, and he also has gameplay and animation. So for the first part of the video we're going to be checking out her actual gameplay, and then we're gonna wind back to go through all of her abilities and synergies and things like that. So let's get into the gameplay part. So this is her character model, and this is a mirror match, and the base point here is just to kind of like see her special attack animations, heavy attack animations, and what else kind of she can do and what can you see and expect in a fight. And maybe it also helps to understand the abilities a bit better later on once you go into the actual breakdown of them. The whole way kind of Scarlet Witch works is she has this chaos magic where basically you and your opponents have a chance to gain buffs, but Scarlet Witch can nullify buffs with her level 3 and with her blocks, and she has 100% chance to do so on parries. And then if you nullify an opponent's buff, you gain additional one for yourself. So there are going to be a lot of fairly chaotic but interesting interactions. And from the first glance, it's very hard to tell how usable she's going to be. She has access to Poison, Cold Snap, Incinerate, and Armor Breaks, and Petrifies, and Unblockables, and very many different things. But she's one of those champions that will definitely be quite hard to judge. Until you actually get to play with her. And yeah, so we can see here are all her special attack animations pretty much. And now she's going to go in level 3, and with level 3 she can also inflict quite potent degen and again nullify up to 5 buffs on opponent. And we can see that the degen is definitely doing significant amounts of damage there. And you can gain prowess buffs, and again you can gain even more prowess buffs if your opponent gets prowess and you nullify them. So there will definitely be a lot of interesting interactions, and I also think she will rely extremely highly on Mystic Dispersion because she herself gives opponents a lot of buffs, and obviously when they expire or when they get nullified, you do want that to kind of like fuel your power bar. So we're gonna go back here, and again, as I said, I will leave a link to all of that original video in the in the description of the video. So let's pop back in here, and we're gonna go to her actual abilities. So I have time marked, I think that's at 4:32. We can check her synergies at the end. And here are her abilities. So her signature ability: against Cosmic Mystic and Tech opponents, 20% chance per instability to inflict a Petrify or Armor Break debuff for 3 seconds. Now these are very short debuffs, but they are also quite potent. Against Cosmic Mutant skill champions, 20% chance per instability to inflict a Power Sting or Heal Block debuff for 3 seconds. The Petrify can be up to 100% effective, Armor Break is up to 1400, and Power Sting deals for 3200 basically damage, and Heal Block is a heal block. Now, to keep in mind, these numbers will scale with her signature ability as we see them in green. In addition, you will notice that against Cosmic Champions, you have chance to trigger both sets, so all 4 debuffs, and against Science Champions, you will not trigger any from this signature ability. So she deals energy damage instead of physical, like many of the Mystic Champions do. And next, we're gonna have an explanation what instability is. On special activation, gain 1 indefinite instability. 1 instability is removed when knocked down by a special attack. If 6+ instabilities are active for 10 seconds, inflict opponent with degeneration, dealing 8000 direct damage over 6 seconds. When the above degeneration expires, remove all instabilities. So you will effectively be able to deal damage when you amass higher amounts of instability. But Chaos Surge is kind of like where it all comes together. Every 4 seconds, activate Chaos Surge, granting both champions a 20% chance per instability to gain 1 randomly selected buff. Small chance to grant all buffs. And now we have a description of all buffs: Armor Up, Fury, Cruelty, Prowess, Unblockable. Buffs are not granted to champions launching special attacks, which is quite significant. If Scarlet nullifies any armor up, fury, cruelty, prowess, or unblockable buffs, she gains her matching Chaos Surge buff. So basically, if opponent gets a fury this way and you nullify it, you're gonna have that fury. If you and your opponent gets a fury this way and you nullify the opponent's one, you're gonna have 2 furies. So that is a very interesting mechanic, the way it works. The thing that will make you kind of like be extremely cautious for sure is gonna be the unblockable, because opponent can randomly go unblockable and that can potentially be very tricky. But keep in mind, all of these are buffs that will trigger on opponent and they can feed your Mystic Dispersion. So I do have a feeling that she's going to be extremely reliant on Mystic Dispersion, and she will be able to do some crazy stuff with it. Here is arguably one of the best nullify abilities in game. Before the opponent lands an attack, while blocking, 15% chance to nullify one buff, increased to 100% chance during well-timed block window. And I think this is going to be one of the key elements. Like, this is where a big red exclamation mark should go when discussing Scarlet Witch, because you can nullify a buff simply by parrying, and that's quite unique because typically you need to launch a special attack, you need to land a hit or something like that, and now you do not anymore, and that is one of the most handy and unique nullify abilities in the game that we have currently, and I think it will potentially play quite important role, because keep in mind, again, she's a Mystic champion. So in theory, for instance, you go up against somebody like Red Skull or whatever, he starts with a bunch of buffs, or Colossus, or again, whatever, so long as opponent has buffs. You can just parry them a couple of times, trigger Mystic Dispersion every single time, and immediately get to your level 2 or level 3 without actually landing a regular hit. So that's quite huge if you think about it, and you kind of like think about out of the box uses there. So Scarlet Witch is definitely a champion that I'm personally interested in, because these kind of abilities is what I currently look for in champions, because overall power level I feel has dipped, but we do get every now and again kind of like absolutely unique champions like Red Guardian, for instance, not gaining any buffs, and this Nullify fits in that category where it's insanely cool Nullify ability. Right, so heavy attacks consume 1 instability to create a non-stacking power gain buff, generating 100% of bar power over 10 seconds. Now this is very cool as well, because you can manage your instabilities with this, because you typically, I'd assume, don't really want to gain too many instabilities, because you do not want to trigger the degen and have them reset, but this will also give you even more power gain. The first successful hit creates 1 instability on special 1. So special 1 is going to be a very simple thing. We have special 2, which have a longer description. So we can pause here. Each hit inflicts a random debuff. Durations increased by 20% for each buff on either champion, max 100%. Poison, dealing 4,259 direct damage over 10 seconds, but effectively you will do double the amount of damage, because quite often you will have 5 buffs in between both of you. And then you have Cold Snap, same amount of damage, but Cold Snap shut down Evade, and Incinerate, obviously dealing energy damage. So the fact that she dabbles with so many different debuffs is cool, but it can also have a significant downside. And downside is obviously whenever you're going to face anyone who's immune to either one of these 3 debuffs, you're going to suffer some damage reduction. And your basically damage output is going to suffer there. So I'm not too sure I'm entirely hype for this kind of like turn of events here, because there are a ton of champions who will be immune to at least 1, if not 2 of these things. And versus with Black Widow Clairvoyant, that actually was good for her, and you could switch in between which ones you target. Here you just kind of like blast randomly across the field, and if you target the ones that the opponents are immune, then obviously don't get any effects. But it does look quite interesting, and does look like quite a lot of damage there as well in that level 2. And level 3 we have Nullify up to 5 buffs on opponent. Each buff nullified this way increases this attack's attack rating by 800. It's alright, it's not the biggest attack increase, well, let's be fair. But also remove all instabilities. each inflicting a passive degeneration, dealing 7,320.5 direct damage over 10 seconds. And that is quite a lot of damage, and you can probably have like 5 or 6 of these, unless you're playing a mirror match. And that will do quite a lot of damage after level 3 with that big degen. And that's pretty much it in her ability kit. Now I'm going to quickly jump to her synergies, which is at 413 mark. So first synergy is going to be with basically the mutants. Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, and Frost. Copied buffs have 25% increased duration, which is fine, quite useful. And also mutant champions have 30% reduced ability accuracy during either champion's special attacks. That's fair enough, I guess. I mean, can have its uses, but it's not the biggest thing. Okay, so we have another one with Scarlet Witch. Start each fight with 2 instability. Seems good. Increase buff duration by 20% and reduce debuff duration by 20%. Now, I don't know how well this will work out for Scarlet Witch, but seems quite good. Seems quite good potentially. And next up, we have Visions. When Chaos Surge activates, 8% chance to gain an aptitude buff, increasing Fury Precision Armor buffs by 30% for 18 seconds. Now, 8% though is not the biggest thing. But if you think about it, because the Chaos Surge activates, I think, every 4 seconds. And so you're going to effectively have like 4+ chances to trigger it. I don't think this is going to do too much though, but it could be potentially useful. And then Visions, landing a heavy attack on opponent suffering a heal block grants non-stacking Fury, increasing attack rating by 1000 for 15 seconds. Now this is something that gives Vision more damage output, and that's like the main thing that Vision needs, so fair enough. Next up, Demonic Pact with Mephisto Dormammu. Chaos Surge generates regeneration instead of prowess, granting 4% of missing health over 12 seconds. Prowess can no longer be copied, but regeneration can. So basically switch out prowesses for regeneration. Dormammu imbued attacks have increased attack rating. He needs more than that, I think. While opponent's soul is imprisoned, 100% chance to activate Aura of Incinerate when the opponent fails to gain a buff through chance. Cooldown 1 second. Now, I think this could potentially be very interesting in some very niche scenarios. I definitely know for a fact that there could be some very cheesy scenarios where you go up against probably stuff like Resistor or something, and you could maybe gain a ton of these Incinerate auras. But yeah, it would be very fun to test and see where this works out. I don't think it's like the biggest thing, but definitely think it would be quite fun. Then you have a couple of very basic synergies. And that's pretty much it that we have for the new Scarlet Witch. And it's also quite interesting that she's not announced to be coming in contest this month. So it's quite possible that she's going to come in next month, but they needed something. Or also the data mined name for her was Scarlet Witch Sigil, which also to me could possibly lead to think that she might not be released as a standard regular champion, and there might be some special means of acquisition. Only time will reveal that to us, but as a champion goes in itself, I do see very large amount of potential there. I'm not gonna lie. She has a very unique nullify ability, which I'm absolutely in love with. And all of these chaotic buffs have a chance to be very significant and do a lot. The question is, like, obviously how effective it will work, because it's so random, it's so RNG, but at some point if you have very high chance of success, then it's still quite often worth it. Not to mention that those nullifiers are guaranteed, and yeah, all in all, I'm definitely looking forward to her. It's very hard to predict exactly how good she is going to be, but only thing I can tell you straight away, that she is a champion that I personally look forward to playing with, testing. And I do think she's not going to be dull. I do think she's going to be interesting. And yeah, can't wait. So I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. And if you have, you guys know what to do. I'm going to catch you guys soon. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all